Atlanta, 1996. And for one rotation, they were Olympic medalists. And the home crowd could practically taste it. But as easy as it came, it suddenly disappeared. And we were left to wait another 4 years.
I would say that this just about does it for Team USA.
Sydney was supposed to be different. But it began again with bitter disappointment. A valiant comeback would reclaim some of their pride, but there are no medals for fourth place. Now the expectations of a nation are starting to grow again, and this time they're more real than ever. No longer will almost be good enough. Blaine Wilson has been through 2 disappointments, but this time he's surrounded by more talent than ever. Talent that is showcased again today as the road to Athens begins. NBC Sports is proud to present the Zocor U.S. Gymnastics Championships as we welcome you to Milwaukee. Dan Hicks with Elfie Schlegel, Tim Daggett, and Andrea Joyce for the second day of competition as the men compete for both the national title and a couple of spots on the world team as well. There is the defending champion Paul Hamm, and he will have plenty of supporters in the crowd here today. His father bought some 90 tickets, so you'll hear plenty of support for not only Paul, but his twin brother Morgan. And it was 4 years ago at these national championships when Jason Gatson blew out his knee on his very first event, the high bar. That is where he will start again today. He hopes the comeback road will take him back to the Olympic Games next summer, an event he had to sit home and watch from Sydney. This man was in Sydney, the 5-time national champion Blaine Wilson, and at age 29, staying in the sport in hopes of erasing those 2 Olympic disappointments when the U.S. men failed to finish in the medals. And it was a disappointing start here, Tim Daggett, for Blaine Wilson during the preliminary night of competition.
And I talked to Blaine before the meet, and he said he was most pleased with how well he's been doing on pommel horse, but right off the bat, he just misses his hand right on that pommel and comes off a huge, huge deduction.
So a very low score turned in by Blaine Wilson in the preliminary competition on the pommel horse. 50% of the scores will count from the prelims, another 50% from this night's competition. To determine the champion, Paul Hamm has the lead, Jason Gatson in second place, and there's Blaine Wilson in third, and Paul Hamm's twin brother Morgan Hamm in fifth. Well, here is Paul Hamm to begin the first of 6 rotations on the floor exercise.
And I'll tell you, he is so powerful. The mount that he will do is a double twisting, double laid out somersault, and so much gets done in one piece of air. It's amazing. Here's that mount. Oh, unbelievable. So difficult, makes it look so easy. Tricky combination tumbling pass, and that right there, that's gonna hurt him. He was supposed to do a third bounding element, but was just a little bit off balance. Gonna cost him a handful of bonus points there. New third pass for Paul, very difficult. Down the side there to generate all that power that you need with no run into it.
This is his final pass, the double layout. Paul typically sticks the landing as he does right there. That's what he's known for.
He typically sticks a lot of things. He is a very focused, very determined gymnast who first competed in the Olympics with his twin brother at the age of 17. He is a machine of consistency.
And one of the coolest customers I have ever ever encountered. Nothing seems to rattle him.
You will not see a lot of emotion from Paul Hamm as you look at Jason Gatson gearing up here. Gatson beginning on the high bar, and we've talked a lot about it in the past, Tim, as we've talked about Gatson's career. Just one of the best young gymnasts you have ever seen, but injuries have just plagued him in his career. Several knee injuries, and he continues the comeback trail, and he feels that he's just about all the way back.
And I tell you, it is so remarkable that he is in second place at this competition. Just about everybody in the world had written this kid off, saying that there's no way he'll ever regain the type of form that he had before those 2 knee injuries. But he has looked phenomenal here, and beautiful combination work.
And Tim, it's been 4 long years, and he says, I'm just thrilled to be back.
Big release.
Oh.
Wow. Now that's too bad. This is actually the event, almost the exact scenario that happened 4 years ago. He started day 2 on high bar, and that is where he had that first traumatic knee injury. And
Credit, no? No credit?
his coach, Vitaly Marinich, asking the judge if he got credit for that, and I don't know what he's talking about. It sounds like they're going to repeat the element, which is the gymnast's choice. He loses the bonus points, and he's nowhere near the bar on that one.
Let's finish.
So not a good beginning at all for Gatson.
And like I said, he had looked
Finish
so
the rest of the routine.
so tremendous. He very rattled at this point. So what that costs him are the bonus points that he would have gotten for that element, and then the 2 falls. This is going to be a disastrously low first score for Jason Gatson.
So Gatson on a comeback is going to need another comeback here in the second night of competition after that disappointing beginning. Gatson became the youngest athlete ever to make a U.S. Men's World Championship team at the age of 17, but what went wrong here for him?
I think he should have had the bar. He actually was a little bit close, but he just didn't get his hands around the bar, and this is the first one. Maybe not the best technique for catching it every time, but I've seen Jason many, many times do it exactly like that and somehow hold on to the bar.
Low score for Gatson as expected, just a 7.85. Paul Hamm turns in a 9.4 to begin his first of 6 rotations. And there is the 5-time champion, Blaine Wilson, now 28 years old, and many things have changed in his life. He is a father, and it has changed the way he has approached his sport, but still has designs of getting back to the Olympics and making everything right.
And Dan, you talked about the changes. He said, you know, it's something else. His 8.5-month-old daughter, Wakaya, actually comes to the workouts with him in the morning. He says he just sits her on the vault runway, and she's quite happy playing and eating her biscuits. But he says, man, those babies, they require so much attention.
And he wants a lot of attention for this ring routine, and Blaine still feels he has a shot of winning this national title. A little more than a point behind Paul, but this event right here, still rings, could be the difference today for Blaine Wilson. Paul suffered a shoulder injury and really struggles there.
Yeah, that was right on, near perfect.
And there is his wife, McClure, with her 8.5-month-old daughter. What a combination they are. A former volleyball player who I guess still plays a little bit, stands at 6'2", and Blaine's all of 5'4".
Actually, she has been gone for about the last 2.5 weeks, so Blaine tells me he's a single parent, and he hasn't been all that happy about it.
Well, apparently the dogs have been helping him out a little bit.
Well, there is Paul's twin brother, Morgan Hamm, and maybe not quite the gymnast that his brother is, but this guy's got a lot of talent.
Let's go, Morgan! He sure does, and this is his best event. He was an Olympic finalist on floor exercise and really didn't do the routine that he could have done. should have medaled, in my opinion, there.
Same opening as his brother.
You know, they have almost identical technique, but I think Morgan's actually a little bit bouncier. Watch this pass right here.
And that's a new pass for him. That's great.
Yeah, his brother says he's the best tumbler in the world in his eyes.
I would have to say that you put him in the top 5, no question about that. Not only can he do the big elements, but he's got a great look. Nice, clean lines. Doesn't just do the hard element, but he makes it look effortless.
And you talk to Morgan, and he really feels that where his contributions can come for this U.S. team is on this event, as well as pommel horse and vault.
The gymnasts in this competition, if they do a D dismount, which means D for difficult, and they stick it, they get an additional 1/10 of a point. So he can actually start at a 10-1 if he does that right there, which he did.
So a good start for both Paul and Morgan Hamm. Hamm a half hour older than his twin brother Paul.
Morgan, let me fix your number.
And they will interact during the course of this championship, but there will be a business attitude as well to it all.
A lot of business going on in this pass as well. Same one that Paul was supposed to do. It ends with this 1 3/4 somersault, which a lot of the gymnasts are doing nowadays. The great thing about that is you get all those bonus points, but you really don't have the landing problems because you're rolling out.
As Blaine Wilson gets ready for his next event, the vault, we take a look at the standings here after the first of 6 rotations in these U.S. Gymnastics Championships. And the change occurred in that second spot where Blaine Wilson moved up into the second spot and Jason Gatson tumbled from second to 6th after his poor routine in the opening round. So here is Blaine Wilson getting ready for the vault after the solid start on the rings.
And I tell you, a lot of the U.S. athletes are really very improved on vaulting. They have made an incentive if you perform a 9-9 or a 10-0 start value vault, you actually can do 2 vaults as opposed to just 1 shot, and you can take the best score, and a number of athletes are doing that, and you also get some bonus points on top of that.
And you see the number 328, that indicates the vault that Blaine's performing. It's worth a 10.0.
So he'll have the option of doing another one.
Really, really hard. Oh, just barely touches his hands. One of the better vaults that I've seen Blaine do. He kind of opens his body just a little bit at the end. I thought he could have made this all the way around. So critical, though, to keep your body flipping. You see when he starts to do that half turn, he slows down the flip a little bit.
9.65 for Blaine. Now, is he going to be happy with that? Looks
Yes.
like it.
Yeah, he is. He looked at the score and talked it over with his coach and said, I really don't want to do another one of those.
I don't blame him.
Morgan Hamm now, ready for the pommel horse.
Let's be aggressive, Morgan.
You hear his coach Stacy in the background there. Let's be aggressive. He told me that Morgan is really due for a great pommel horse routine.
And again, this is one of the events that Morgan feels he can contribute to the U.S. team.
And the major reason why is the rhythm and the beautiful extended body line. He has what we call a lot of clearance. His hips are high above the horse. Feet are never scraping. A required scissor element. Only the dismount.
Pretty smooth.
Beautiful exercise. Actually, I think left an element out. It's going to cost him a 1/10 of a point.
You're still going to get a big score. It's very, very good.
It was
good.
very beautiful. I have to agree with you, Stacy. Just excellent rhythm. That's the key right there.
Gatson, after that disastrous start on the high bar, getting ready for his floor exercise, and he will be sporting that knee brace which of course protects the knee, which has had at least a couple of surgeries.
And because of that, he chooses tumbling passes like this that all roll out, so he doesn't have to pound and bang that knee up.
Very different from the Jason Gatson we knew 4 years ago.
But a super smart exercise, really choreographed well for a lot of reasons. Like I said earlier, the landing deductions that are so easily applied really don't happen on these rollouts, and so I don't know where they're taking off anything in this exercise. Maybe 1 or 2 tenths on form, but certainly no landing deductions.
I tell you really have to admire this guy to continue in this sport. I mean, he's sporting that big, cumbersome knee brace, but still has some unfinished business in the sport that he wants to take care of, and it obviously really curtails some of his gymnastics, especially on the floor, but that's the price he's willing to pay for it all.
He has done a great job, though, and I wouldn't count this guy out of it. He's got this event, great job, and 4 more really strong events. Once again, difficult tumbling pass. A lot of gymnasts doing this 1 3/4 somersault rollout.
You know, Tim, you talked about the smart tumbling that he chose. He says, I'm really comfortable with these routines, very sure about what I'm doing here.
Good rebound for Jason on the floor, a 9.4 as he takes off the knee brace. And there is Morgan sitting next to twin brother Paul, 9.625 for Morgan Hamm. And when people talk about all of the talent coming into the men's U.S. gymnastics program, they're talking about this young man, Bhavsar, 22-year-old former Ohio State gymnast who was the NCAA all-around champion last year.
And he is doing another super hard vault, a Sukahara double pike. And don't kid yourself, this is tough stuff right here.
Yikes.
You can see his coach celebrate that one. That is how difficult that was to pull off.
You know, I asked Miles Avery, his coach, I said, what are you thinking when you see Raj running down that runway? And he goes, oh man, I just look up in the air and say, I hope this is a good one. Land on your feet, buddy.
And he did not in the warm-ups. He landed exactly on his face. And it's just so difficult. Got to get way up in the air. Judges, maybe tough call on this, because if he's tucked, if they call that a tucked position, it's a much lower start value, but they didn't. They gave him the pike.
And they gave him a 9.8, and that'll be it. There'll be no other attempt at that vault. Here's Paul Hamm, the leader after the 9.4 on the floor. He has continued to lead most of this championship. And here is Paul Hamm, set to take to the pommel horse.
And he can grab a giant number here. Same look as his brother on horse.
Well, Tim, I would assume that since they're identical twins.
Thanks, Dan.
In fact, it's hard to tell them apart at times.
It is.
You know, I think what makes these guys so great is that they are always students of the sport. They study day in and day out. They take videotapes of themselves, even here at the Nationals, and they compare themselves with the best gymnasts in the world.
And they do it all right here in this town, in Milwaukee and nearby Waukesha, Wisconsin, where they have both chosen to train.
That's it.
Stacy liked it.
That's going to get, like I said, that's going to bring in a big, big score.
Very good.
Well, if Paul lacks any emotion, it's taken care of by his coach, Stacy, huh?
Nice scissor work, and then he picks up and goes into a flare to a handstand with a pirouette. If you're great, you make everything look effortless, and he did that through the entire exercise and capped it off with that.
9.8 for Paul Hamm. And that could lengthen his lead after the second of 6 rotations. And it does as we take a look at the standings after 2 rotations. Hamm a little further ahead of Blaine Wilson. Morgan remains in third, Bhavsar in fourth, and Jason Gatson remains in 6th as he continues a long comeback. It has been a long, long road for Jason Gatson. More on that when we continue from the U.S. Gymnastics Championships in a moment. Imagine the feeling. The feeling that your dreams are right at your fingertips. Then imagine having them pass by you like a stranger. All in one moment. Jason Gatson's destiny was once so clear: make the 2000 Olympic team. But one dismount littered his path with doubt. Could he rehabilitate in time? Could he get back to where he was? Could he get past the fear? There was only 10 months till the next national championships. Gatson would need to prove himself there if he'd ever have a shot for Sydney. But coming back from an injury is an inexact science. And while Jason's heart said he could do it, his body wasn't so sure. The Olympic dream would have to wait.
Seems like a real long time ago. It was 3 years ago, you know, and a lot's changed since then. I think number one thing is my mentality, you know. Going through all these injuries and stuff really opens your eyes, you know. It makes you, you know, realize how hard this sport is and, you know, what battles you have to go through, you know, to be at the top level.
His next opportunity to get back on the national team would come at the 2001 National Championships. He was now 2 years removed from the surgery. This was his chance to show he was back. His desire was obvious, but his knee was still uncertain. What can possibly help prepare you for this? 2 blown-out knees in 2 years. It was over. No one could come back from that. Or can they? Jason Gatson wasn't ready to stop. There was still some unfinished business to take care of. Now, 4 years after his first knee operation, he has returned to see if he has what it takes.
I wanted to prove that I can still do this, you know, and I'm still competitive with these guys at this level. I didn't want to give up.
Injuries have always been a part of the sport, but what Jason Gatson is going through and is attempting to do is quite extraordinary. Tim, you have experienced a horrific injury. What are the mental things that go through your mind dealing with something like that?
Well, it was almost like Jason stole some of my thoughts and my words there. It's just, as an athlete, it's so important that you're true to yourself, and giving up just was never an option for me, and it doesn't appear to be an option for Jason Gatson. Sometimes you just have to try.
And I think there's a part of this crowd and many of the people that have been with Jason throughout his career that are really rooting for this kid to make it.
And Tim, I don't know if it's just me, but I cannot believe the athlete that we're seeing today. He is so improved, not only on the other apparatus, but especially here.
And this is going to help a lot. Going to get a big number. His mom said, Jason, I just know it, you're not done, and I think she's right.
Look at that look of determination on Gatson's face.
Good, awesome. Awesome comeback, you know. That was important for him. Now rings, we can clean up that thing.
His coach already gearing him up for the next event a little bit later on, which will be the rings for Gatson. And here is Blaine Wilson getting ready for the parallel bars.
And this is a big rotation for Blaine, not just because he can post a huge number on the parallel bars, but also because his main competition here, Paul Hamm, is on still rings where he will struggle.
Again, Wilson enters this third rotation in second place.
Very difficult combination. He'll spin on one arm here and go right into a double flip. A lot going on all in a row, which makes it much more difficult. Dismount, double pike.
Fighting for those landings.
Has a great routine.
You talk so much about Gatson's comeback. This man wants to not only return as national champion, but get back to the Olympics. So competitive. Blaine Wilson. I mean, you instantly know if he's happy with his routine or not. Gatson's pommel horse routine at 9.45 as he looks to move up from the 6th spot. And Wilson's P-bar routine at 9.6, so maybe he can inch a little closer to the leader, Paul Hamm. And we'll see Mr. Hamm on the rings when we continue as he continues to try and defend his U.S. Gymnastics Championship. We're back at the U.S. Gymnastics Championships in the third rotation, and Bhavsar getting ready for the P-bars. Raj in 4th place as he gets ready to go.
And Dan, there's a lot of things going on here. Obviously, it's the national championships. Everybody wants to win that. But 2 spots, the top 2 all-arounders, also automatically qualify to the World Championships later on this summer. And the remaining athletes, 4 more, will comprise that U.S. team. And how they are chosen is by their individual event strengths. Do they make a stronger USA team? Raj is not going to be one of those athletes that's going to place in the top 2 and earn an automatic berth. But he needs strong events in weak places for the USA, and he's got some of them. We saw him earlier on the vault, and that is definitely an event where he can contribute and contribute big to this USA team.
Brett McClure is next, 22-year-old from Colorado Springs, teammate there with Jason Gatson.
And this is also an event where Brett McClure can really contribute to this USA team.
McClure, a member of the last 2 World Championship teams for the United States, so he's been on the scene for quite some time now.
Actually got a little bit tight in day 1. Had some problems. But pommel horses, very strong event for Brett. And the USA a little bit weaker on that event.
Yeah, this is definitely an event where Brett can pull up a big score for this team. You know, he wants a top 6 finish in the all-around competition, said it's going to be a real fight at this event. There are so many good guys out there.
McClure in the 5th spot, just ahead of Gatson after the 2 rotations, as Bhavsar has his score of 9.2 on the P-bars. What do you think about that?
Well, it was a good score, actually, for him, and really P-bars is not one of the events that he is hoping to be a contributor on.
McClure with a good score as you look at Paul Hamm getting ready now for the rings, the leader of these championships. And it would be a pretty big upset, even at this stage, Tim and Elfie, if this man didn't turn out on top again and defend his title.
Well, this is the one place Paul is going to struggle today. He had a sprained AC joint in his shoulder that really hurt him a lot. And what it did was made it impossible for him to work on those critical strength elements. And because of that, his start value is very low. Blaine Wilson told me I can get a point on rings alone on Paul today.
You got to gain any edge you can on this guy. He and his coach said coming in that they were going to hold back a little bit because of this continuing comeback from the shoulder injury, and that was pretty good. It happened on the rings. He injured it in a training routine on the rings, so a little scary event out of the way for Paul Hamm.
Biggest mistake in that exercise was the small little hop on the landing. That costs him at least 2/10 of the point because he loses that extra bonus. And with the low start value, without all those strength parts, that is going to cost him. Full twisting, double layout somersault, just pulls his feet underneath him just a little bit too much, and it doesn't matter how small that hop is. If you hopped, no bonus.
And it's the lowest score so far by Paul Hamm at 8.9, but Paul continues to lead as we look at the standings after 3 rotations, and the only change after the second rotation is that Brett McClure and Bhavsar have exchanged spots. Well, while they continue to fight it out for this championship, let's take it a couple of steps further. Look ahead to the Worlds, look ahead to next year's Olympics. And Elfie, where do the American men stack up, not just in this country, but internationally?
Well, I think what's interesting, Dan, is that 5 out of the 6 team members from Sydney are here. They're still competing, but of course, with all that experience, that doesn't guarantee them a spot on the World or Olympic team. You now have the ability to use some event specialists, and you know, those roles could really be filled by some of the young blood that's coming up in this system. I think they're in great shape to win a medal.
Well, Tim, the last time the American men won an Olympic medal, have to go all the way back to when you competed in 1984. You like their chances a little bit better now, though, don't you?
I do, a lot. You know what it comes down to over the last 2 Olympic Games, for this team to have won a medal in the team championships, a lot had to go right. This group today is so good, I think a lot has to go wrong for them not to win a medal.
In the meantime, at these championships, Blaine Wilson has just picked up a little bit of ground on Paul Hamm. In fact, 7/10 he picked up on the leader Hamm, and now really is just a fall away from taking over the top spot from the defending champion. And Jason Gatson remains in 6th, but he's looking to move up and get into that top 2 that make the world team. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Milwaukee as we continue the Zocor U.S. Gymnastics Championships. Getting set for the 4th of 6 rotations, and Blaine Wilson getting ready for his next event, continuing to inch up on the leader, Paul Hamm. Wilson, an amazing 5 straight national titles, but that's not what it's all about anymore. With more on that, here's Andrea Joyce.
Well, Blaine Wilson would be happy to pick up another national title for himself, but winning this competition is not his top priority. Despite years of success, Wilson has never won an Olympic or World Championship medal of any kind over the years. So now he has developed tunnel vision, focusing his sights on those events. He told us it is the only thing that keeps him in the gym, and to help him maintain that focus, he's got a photograph of the Chinese Olympic gold medal team from 2000 hanging on the wall in his training gym, right where he can see it, a constant reminder of what he's working for.
The U.S. team was in China for a competition, and it was presented to them as a gift. It's actually a T-shirt with the picture of the Chinese Olympic team, and that really didn't sit all that well with Blaine. He's a very competitive sort.
Yes, but of course for the Chinese team, they thought that it was a lovely gesture on their part, right?
Some gift. Stare at this for a while. Bhavsar on the high bar now.
You know, this kid he's quick, he's exciting, he's got some great skills, just lacking a little bit of form on this event, but he's got some exciting skills, especially the dismount.
But when you put the whole formula together on high bar, it just doesn't add up for Raj. He is really lacking in the difficulty and will struggle, believe it or not, even when he hits with this exercise, to make it into the 8s. Like you said, Alf, a great triple, but nowhere near enough juice in that set to bring in a big number.
Nevertheless, he's fun to watch, isn't he? Every time he thinks he's hit a routine, he comes off pumped.
Yeah, he's a dynamic kid and really tremendous in a lot of areas. This is an event where he would never be used by Team USA unless he upgrades a lot.
And remember, Raj was part of that 2001 silver medal winning team. Great experience behind him, hopefully, as he gets set for 2003 World Championships if he's on that team.
8.275 for Raj.
A little better than day one, but once again, very low number.
The leader, Paul Hamm, after the subpar ring routine, getting ready for the vault.
And his coach, Stacy Maloney, told me that both Paul and Morgan could have been much better day one on vaulting. They went back to their gym. They did some drills. He said it was such an asset, really, to have the national championships in their hometown. They used it. A great vault, super power. Very, very clean.
Now, if you're coming in at the end, you gotta like start opening up. That's basically it, okay? Great height, you gotta
Telling
open up
him he
sooner.
needs to just open his body a little bit prior to the landing. He holds on to this tight twisting position and it rotates him just a little bit too much. You'll see he's a little closed right there. He steps outside of the line with 1 foot. It's a 1/10 of a point deduction.
So a 9.625 on the first vault, and Hamm's going to give it another try. Again, one of the options that the American men have these days in the vault.
If you do a hard enough vault, and that was one of the vaults that does qualify. Just the landing. He's looking to get his feet right.
Looked like a carbon copy, kind of like identical.
You know, you got to remember this is really a difficult vault, as Tim mentioned, and it's a blind landing on top of all that, just knowing the exact timing of when to land and try to stick.
It was better. When you get 965.
And this is, of course, a USA rule. It was put in place to get Team USA a little bit stronger, a little bit more aggressive on the vaulting where they thought they were weak.
So Blaine Wilson perhaps can move even a little closer to the leader, Hamm. Wilson in second place after amassing those 5 straight national championships from 96 through 2000. I mean, he owned these national championships.
Well, you know, he told me that, Tim, I don't want to be considered the best gymnast the USA ever had and not win a world or Olympic medal. I can't have that happen.
And of course, an injury kept him off that 2001 World Championship team. Of course, they won the silver medal, and that really burned him. That's part of his motivation, hoping for this summer, this team to get back on the podium.
Tricky combination right here, a hop full turn. That's gonna cost him right there. He loses a little bit of support on the bar. Gymnastics 101, the knees bend or the arms bend. You're gonna get a deduction.
Drop that shoulder, bang.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good save. He could have easily come off the bar. This is his release skill. Beautiful laid out Kovacs. Still a relatively new element for Blaine, does it very nice, and then he connects to a Roboco to one arm.
Roboco. Well, it all boils down to a 9.2 for Wilson. Not great. And the number for Paul Hamm will be the number he registered on his first vault, a 9.625, as his second vault at a 9.55. Here is Jason Gatson again, and he's got some strong events to end this competition, Tim and Elfie, so Gatson looking to move up in those top 2 spots.
And his mount is absolutely incredible. First time I saw him do this, I was like, you can't do this. You can't raise your body up like that and hold that position. And I'll tell you, the one area when Jason was younger, prior to his knee injuries, where he struggled were the static strength holds like this. But because of the surgeries and because he was always rehabilitating, the one thing he could go and do every day is get into the gym and pump out more strength. And he is gone from actually being a relatively weak gymnast to a monster. I mean, this is a world-class exercise right here.
And a solid routine for Gatson as he looks to move up.
I don't know where they're going to get deductions, to be honest. That was fantastic. Great routine.
He's been kind of stuck in that 6th
A
spot.
little bit legs. Could be much better.
Morgan Hamm comes into this rotation in the 3rd spot as he gets ready for the vault.
Get up on the bar, let's do it!
And you hear that right there. That he said get up on the board. He was hitting back on the board, which doesn't give you as much spring. A little better. Actually, a very good vault, just that deep squat on the landing and the step back, but better than day one.
You think so or not?
They're talking about whether they should do another vault.
All right. You just need.
I don't know if I can do it.
No.
Well,
Let's take that one.
it appears here that Morgan's
Let's see,
going to
let me
take
see
this
the-
one, Tim.
Yeah, Stacy wants him to do another one, but Stacy's not the one that's got to run down there and get it done.
So we'll get the lone attempt for Morgan, the score when we come back. Well, Morgan Hamm just wanted the one vault, and there was the score he earned, a 9.5. So we are through 4 of 6 rotations. And Morgan Hamm remains in the 3rd spot. No change at the top, but Paul Hamm did pick up better than 0.4 of a point on Blaine Wilson, so the leader got out a little bit more ahead. Jason Gatson has moved up into the 4th spot. That's where Brett McClure was before Brett McClure tumbled down to 6th after the 8.3 on the still ring. So McClure looking to get back up on the leaderboard a little bit here.
Got a very difficult vault as well, a handspring laid out front with 2 twists. And that really wasn't even close. Tell you, you take the risk and you're trying to get it the big points, and just doesn't have the explosion off of the horse that you need.
Well, of course, and the advantage here for Brett is because of the high start value, he gets a second chance.
Yes, he does. When I first heard he was doing this vault, I was really shocked, because it's not only is it difficult, but it's the landing position is a little bit scary, to be honest. And I think he's the only gymnast I've ever seen in the world perform it. Gonna need a better push, right? And he does.
Oh, that was great.
Way better vault. Probably went 1.5 feet higher, and that height allowed him to get his feet underneath him, and gonna get a very nice score.
Get his score in a moment as you look at Raj Bhavsar getting ready for the floor.
But you see that 9.8 on vault. That alone might be a consideration, along with his still rings and possibly floor, to put him on that world team to earn a spot.
Raj fell a couple of spots from 5th to 7th after the 4th rotation.
All about doing these combination tumbling runs, connecting element upon element. When you do one of those 3-pass elements, the 3rd one gets what we call value raised, and that's where you get all those bonus points. Nice side somersault. Has a very easy dismount planned. Goal here is only about that right there. Don't move your feet.
Gives it a little shoulder double fist pump. He's fun to watch.
Great job. Great job.
Score for Brett McClure will obviously be that second vault of 9.6. And Bhavsar turns in a 9.35 in the floor, and you can hear him say one more. Well, 2 left for the leader, Paul Hamm. And as he gets set for the P-bars, this guy has a lot of talent, Alfie and Tim. Could he perhaps be, when it's all said and done, I know it's a little bit of a crystal ball here, but this guy has the kind of talent that makes you wonder if he could be one of the all-time greats, if not the best American gymnast when it's all over.
Very, very possible. He has every quality that you look for in an athlete. Does the super difficult skills, but he does them cleanly and elegant. He's one of the toughest competitors I've ever seen, and legitimately, this guy, my opinion, has a shot of, in just a few weeks, being an all-around champion at the world level.
And let's not forget, at the 2001 World Championships, he came very close to winning the all-around title.
Let's also not forget that no American man has ever won an individual all-around title at the Olympics or the Worlds. Paul Hamm could become the first to do it. Lots of talent at these championships, and we want to show you a glimpse of 17-year-old Alexander Artemev competing earlier on the parallel bars.
And he actually is tremendous on this event, but it didn't work today at all. He's very young, a little bit inexperienced, and just doesn't have the overall strength that you need to perform day in, day out. His arm, you see it buckle right there, and there is no saving that.
And this is his first time as an American citizen competing here at the National Championships. What's interesting is in his native Belarus, they offered him a spot on their 2003 World Championship team, but he declined.
You know, even after that fall, I have to tell you, he still is a contender. And one of the major reasons why is because of this event here. It's like, Dan, pick every adjective, positive one that you can come up with, and a lot of oohs and ohs and ah, wow, that was so beautiful. The whole routine, it's like nonstop.
When you talk to people about him, they consistently use a word style.
Oh,
he's got a lot of style.
Watch this right here. Gonna go right up to a handstand and come back down again.
And watch the speed pick up.
Wow.
Just exquisite form, right down to the toe point. You know what's crazy is he says he absolutely hates this event. He hates training it. He just tries to get through and work out, tries not to make mistakes just to get it over with.
Not bad for a guy who despises the horse.
Yeah, he's something special on this event. There is no doubt about that. He had that form break in the middle of the exercise, which is going to cost him, but if he puts it all together, he is world class. Very difficult element right there, small form deduction, but watch this. He just flies up to a handstand, and what makes this so hard is he comes back down, and there's like no room to put your hands. I don't know how he does this so well, makes it look so effortless. He's like light as a butterfly. You know, the fall on parallel bars, it's gonna hurt him. He probably will not make the world team, but this is a guy who could easily not just make the Olympic team in 2004, but be a star.
The score for Paul Hamm on the P-bars, 9.35, so just one rotation left for the champ, who looks like he's on his way to defending his title. Welcome back to the Zocor U.S. Gymnastics Championships. You're looking at the current standings. Blaine Wilson looking to try and catch Paul Hamm in the second to last rotation for him, now on the floor.
One of those intricate combinations here. Way off on that.
But saves it.
Yeah, that was a great save right there. Saw his body kind of jetted sideways. So one thing, Blaine, he does a lot of things very well, but he is a great fighter, a good struggler. When things look really bleak and bad, where other guys fall off the event or just stop midway through one of those tumbling runs, somehow he just finds a way to get it done. Blaine is having a good day, but to catch Paul, he almost needed to be flawless today. Sticks this dismount, he gets an extra 1/10 of a point, and he doesn't. That right there, that's gonna hurt him a lot. That probably 3/10 of a point off on that dismount alone.
And you can see his body English today, it just hasn't been there for the 5-time champion.
But watch this mount. This is why Blaine is always an asset for the U.S. team. Way off balance at the end of this. He jumps sidewards and then kind of jumps back the other way again.
Great body awareness in the air.
Really, most athletes, after that second rebounding skill, they would have stopped. They would have not continued on.
9.325 for Blaine in the floor. So just one left for Wilson as Morgan Hamm gets ready for the P-bars, looking to move up from his third spot maybe he has a chance to try and catch Blaine Wilson in the second spot.
Going to be hard on this event. This is not where Morgan shines. Once again, it all comes down a lot of times to where your start score is, your maximum potential, and his is not that high on parallel bars.
You know, what's impressive is perhaps the start value isn't here for Morgan on this event, but what has been unbelievable is the consistency of his gymnastics over the past 2 days.
He had a crippling shoulder injury, a nerve injury that kept him basically out of top form for almost a year.
He has said that injury will always be there. His shoulder's never going to be the same. Says it's never going to have the same strength. Jason Gatson knows all about trying to discover strength and confidence after injuries, but guys, he has moved up to fourth. This is a remarkable performance, especially after what he did in the opening rotation.
And that's a great vault for Jason. And I tell you, since he has hurt his knees, that landing right there is what he was so good at. He would pound the floor, meet it so aggressively, and was such a great lander in the sport. And that landing right there was so definitive and so strong, it looked like the younger Jason Gatson.
It was a safe vault for Jason, and as you said, Tim, just, you know, really sure of where he was in the air. Just a small hop was really the only error.
But firm and definite when he landed. That's what he needs.
9-3 for Gatson. Again, has moved up into the fourth spot, looking to move up more. And it would be some story if he moves up into that top 2 category there to make an automatic berth on the world team. And the standings after 5 rotations. Gatson does move up 1 more spot. He's right on Blaine Wilson's heels as Paul Hamm gains a little bit more ground on Blaine. But after falling off the high bar twice in his opening rotation, Gatson continues his amazing comeback here. Back in Milwaukee as the Zocor U.S. Gymnastics Championships continue. Dan Hicks, Tim Daggett, Elfie Schlegel, and Andrea Joyce with you here for the 6th and final rotation. And as Raj Bhavsar gets ready to finish things up on the pommel horse, let's talk a little bit more about the World Championships coming up. We talked about how the Americans boast a team which could be their best ever. But what about the competition? Who has a chance to win it, and do the Americans have a chance to finish on top?
Well, actually, I think they do. They have a lot of things going for them. They're a very strong team, no question about it. Having it in the United States will help dramatically. It always does. But unquestionably, the favorites are the Chinese team. They're the current Olympic champions in the team competition. They are tremendous. They have so many athletes that are just so great. On the men's side, though, there truly are, I would say, maybe even 6 teams that could factor into that medal hunt. It's a lot of great teams out there, and the USA is certainly one of them.
The Bhavsar, one of those fighting for perhaps a spot on the world team and maybe eventually the Olympics. He is in that 6th spot right now as he finishes up.
And he is not going to be happy with this one. Prior to the competition, he told me he thought he could contribute on pommel horse, vaulting, and on the still rings. That job right there doesn't get it done.
You look at the events and scores so far for Brett McClure as he finishes up on the P-bars.
And part of Brett's motivation is not only to make the 2003 World Championship team, but he's looking beyond that to next summer's Olympic Games. You know, he wants to erase the memories of the Olympic trials back in 2000. He said, you know, things just went all wrong at that competition, saw an exit sign in the building, just wanted to keep on walking. And he said it was just the wrong attitude to have. It ruined the entire experience for him, and he wants to relive a great Olympic trials experience again and make the team.
This is a beautiful routine, absolutely gorgeous, so difficult, and makes it look so easy. Little bit of a mistake right there. He arches his heels over his head a little bit, step on the landing, but this guy's tremendous on parallel bars.
Good set.
He is world class. He has the potential to even win a world championship medal.
Score for Raj, 8.9 on the horse. We'll see where he ends up after it's all over. And McClure with a 9.35 on the P-bars. So perhaps McClure can gain a spot. Morgan Hamm comes into the 6th rotation just ahead of him. And here is his brother Paul. And it really is just a matter of time before he wraps it up, barring something disastrous here on the high bar.
And you know, it is all about preparation for him. He's already thinking about the World Championships. And actually, in day one, he didn't do his entire exercise, and that's fine here. But when it comes to the Worlds, he's got to do it all. That was very nice. He's planning to do 4 releases in a row. He didn't the other day. And he actually does even one less right here.
Stick it, Paul. Come on.
He did that. Well, he is your national champion. The repeat, and he gets to do it at home.
That's okay.
It's exciting. But you hear Stacy, it's okay. This guy's such a competitor. He knows it's okay here in Milwaukee, but a few weeks down the line in Anaheim, that routine right there, that does not win that all-around gold medal. Very difficult skill, full twisting. Kovacs over the bar.
That was actually the move that he missed in 2001 at the World Championships that cost him the all-around title.
So the 9.2 is going to wrap up yet another national championship for Paul Hamm. Back-to-back now. And not a lot of celebrating going on there. You're right, Tim. I mean, this is a guy, a perfectionist, who's looking ahead.
You got it, man. Good position, sir.
Morgan Hamm ready to go for his final rotation here in the 4th position.
And once again, Morgan is one of those guys, I don't think he anticipated being in the top 2 to earn that automatic berth. But he certainly is an athlete that this USA team will use. I'd be shocked if he's not on that World Championship team.
Get it.
Beautiful laid out hecht.
Toes up, Morg.
Just the dismount.
Good job, Morgan.
Really a tremendous competition both days for this athlete.
Good nice finish. Good stick.
Well, the title may have been decided here, but there is still a battle for the 2nd spot and that automatic berth in the Worlds. Blaine Wilson, a part of that with Jason Gatson. We'll see him finish up in a moment. Final couple of routines in this 6th and final rotation as you look at the high bar score for Morgan Hamm. He was in the 4th spot. We'll see how he ends up. And here's Blaine Wilson ending on the pommel horse. Again in the 2nd spot, and this is what happened to him in the preliminary competition here.
Just misses that pommel with his hand, and there's no way, if you don't get your hand down, you can't keep going. Scored a 7-9 on that routine.
Ironically, he said he needed to have a good set of all events on pommel horse. It didn't happen.
That's what he needs to take over 2nd place. But remember, Jason Gatson still yet to come on the P-bar. So that 2nd and 3rd spots still up for grabs in these championships.
A little bit unconventional to start with scissors. All he's thinking about is that move that he had the problem on right here, and he's okay, but you see a little bit of leg separation. And another problem with the form. Well, Dan, he's not falling today, but this is not a great routine.
He's leaving the door open, isn't he, for Gatson and company.
Got a pretty good chunk of points over Gatson at this point, but I don't know if the judges do their jobs there. I don't think that this is going to get out of the 8s.
Gatson comes into this final rotation 0.825 behind Blaine, but Wilson has left a pretty wide crack in the door here.
And you see those legs coming apart every time that happens. The judge's pencil makes
tick,
a little
tick.
They're not good.
Yeah.
And that is not good at all.
I didn't fall, but it was rough.
Yeah, it was 8-9, day 1. Jason Gatson on parallel bars scored a 9.8. He is that good on P-bars.
And look at from that high bar score of 7.85, he fell twice. That's what he needs to take second.
Totally doable for him. You know, he hasn't wavered since that first event. He's been mentally tough.
He's got a lot of tough stuff to get through here. That's his own move, called a Gatson. Beautiful peach basket right there. What do I call this? This is unreal.
Oh, and he got it.
And a stick.
Is it good enough for Gatson to take that second spot and get an automatic berth on the world team? What a comeback it would be if he's able to pull it off.
Wow.
This was a guy that was just trying to get back on the national team, much less get on the world team in an automatic berth.
Beautiful. Straley to a handstand makes it look effortless. And the double pike. Gymnastics 101. Put your feet on the ground and don't move those bad boys.
Talk about a feeling of satisfaction. All of those knee surgeries, and Gatson gets it done with a 9.925. The highest score of the meet turned in by Gatson in the final rotation, and he's going to have himself a spot on the world team.
What an amazing comeback. You know, he's got a couple of framed sayings in his home. Follow your destiny and don't quit. You know, he feels his destiny is on that Olympic team next year.
Blaine Wilson, in the meantime, falls behind Gatson into third.
And I'm sure that shocked him. He now has to be chosen to make a world team. He never thought that would happen.
And I'm not sure, you guys know these guys better than I do, but which is the champion? On the left or right? Morgan, Paul?
Yeah, you're right. That's right.
We'll sort it all out when we come back. So Paul Hamm makes it look relatively easy and defends his championship successfully. Jason Gatson with an amazing second-place finish. They are the first two on the world team for the Americans, and Andrea Joyce is with them now.
Paul, congratulations, your second national title. Any comparison to the first, doing it on home turf? Is it a little bit better?
Yeah, it feels so great here to win at home. I had so many friends and family come out and see me. My dad bought over 100 tickets so they could all come, and it was just a dream come true today.
You had to make some adjustments because of your shoulder. As you look ahead now to the World Championships, what are you expecting from yourself? What more do you need to do to make a mark there?
What I'm trying to do between now and the World Championships is just get healthy, get my shoulder fully recovered, and then increase my start value on rings back up to a 10-0 start. That was really the only thing that was hindering me at this competition here, was the rings.
The U.S. men have never had an all-around champion at the Olympics. How do you like your chances?
Well, first of all, we got the World Championships coming up, so I'm going to be concentrating on that. And I definitely think there's a chance for me to win an all-around medal, and I'm going to shoot for it.
All right, Jason, we want to bring in the comeback kid. Congratulations. You've spent the last 4 years trying to regain your form. Can you put into words what it means to you to make this World Championship team?
I'm so happy. You know, this is what I've been trying for the past 4 years, ever since I got hurt, was to get back and perform in front of a big crowd on a podium. So I'm so excited for today. You
told us coming into this competition that your main goal was just to prove to yourself that you could compete with these guys. Now, how do you change the goals?
I think now I'm just going to focus on the World Championships and the Olympics next year. I just need to get a little bit more consistent. I went 11 for 12 today, but it's okay, you know. I can get better on a couple things.
You made your first World Championship team when you were 17 years old. How different is this?
It's a lot different now. I've been through so much the past 4 years. It means the world to me.
Now, as you guys look at the depth of this team, what do you see ahead?
I think this is one of the strongest teams we've put up at a World Championships in a really, really long time. Last World Championships in 2001 in Ghent, Belgium, our team was second, so we're hoping to remain in the medal standings, and I think we can do that.
Very serious about this. They still have their game faces on. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. So a little bit of the expected and unexpected at these championships today.
For Paul Hamm, you look at his career and his learning curve has gone in one direction, up, maybe next, a World Championship medal, maybe even gold.
And Jason Gatson, what can you say about this guy, Elfie?
Wow, not just any comeback, but a convincing finish. He will make a difference for Team USA.
And he'll be on that World Championship team. And don't forget, we'll be back on Saturday, NBC Sports will, August 23rd for the World Gymnastics Championships. And coming up next on NBC, it's the Vans Triple Crown Series, returning with the Right Guard Extreme Sport BMX Championships presented by Mountain Dew and Vans. So that'll do it from Milwaukee. For Tim Daggett, Elfie Schlegel, and Andrea Joyce, I'm Dan Hicks, saying so long from the U.S. Gymnastics Championships.